Hey beautiful people, my name's Kristen. Thank you for stopping by my channel. I have my May update. It's almost the end of May, but there's a long holiday weekend, so I do hope to do just a little bit more of my May reading. I am kind of at the halfway point of A Little Life. It is a beautiful, miserable book, and I will have my full review when I am done with that, as well as The Lost Metal, Brandon Sanderson, the end of the Mistborn 2, I was gonna say trilogy, but it's a quartet. So that I don't think is necessarily gonna be miserable, but I am about an hour left of an audiobook that I am listening to by Thomas Hardy, The Hand of Ethelbertha. So this is a really fun, miserable little book that I will be also reviewing when I am completely done with it. But I have plenty to still talk about in May, and I thought, gosh, I don't want an enormously long video to do all the books of May, so I'll just tell them about the awesome misery that I have experienced so far in May. I am going to not get to a few on my TBR, so leave me a comment if you really need me to bump these up. They're going back into my to be read pile. I did not get to 26 Marathons, a memoir. I did not get to Catching the Light, book of poetry, and because I started listening to the audiobook of Thomas Hardy, I did not get to his paperback novel, Desperate Remedies. So I did get my nonfiction read, I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michele McNamara. This is a nonfiction memoir documentary style about the search for the Golden State Killer. I buddy read this with my subscriber, Jennifer Dobbs, and we both really enjoyed learning about this case. It is very detailed and very kind of step-by-step what she went through, which was interesting. She is a very interesting person. She did pass away from an accidental overdose of several drugs that she was taking for different purposes, and that alone is misery and tragedy that she did not kind of get to the end. Her book is credited for really keeping this in the public spotlight and interest in the story going, although a lot of her research did go back to some of those who were on the front edge of solving it. She doesn't necessarily have the credit for solving it, but being part of the story. So if you like watching those true crime documentaries, or you are just really enthralled with how the thought process of a serial killer and how to get away with it, this is very interesting. And we were noting that this could not happen today, like because of DNA, right? So they didn't have that back in the 70s when he started his rape/killing spree. But this book was so detailed that I thought, it's not a very super long book. I thought, oh, I'll whip through this real quick, but I had to keep putting it down and taking breaks from it because it's pretty dark. It's pretty heavy. And I am super glad that it was solved in the end, not before Michele's death, but they did because of DNA and new technology. They have been able to solve it. That's not a spoiler, that's common knowledge, but the details of it are still super, super interesting. And if you have interest in that, I do think it's worthwhile. I think, for what it is, it's definitely 3.5, 4-star kind of level because it is well written and very engaging. For my classic, read The Handmaid's Tale. This was my first Margaret Atwood, and I was a little bit nervous going into it, thinking maybe it would be really anti-faith or too political, but no, it is the perfect dystopian book, which I really appreciate a good dystopian book. It is written as if these are documents and kind of a diary journal and notes and reports that you, the reader, or whoever is reading this, is trying to piece together the mystery of exactly what happened and what went down and why. And so there's a lot of interest and intrigue that Atwood takes you through the steps of trying to figure out what exactly is going on in the society. And it's a commentary really against too much government control, too much giving away the rights to your bodies or the rights to your freedoms of how to work, how to choose and make your decisions for the direction your life's going to go, all that kind of good stuff, which again, I really, really appreciate that. So I will definitely be picking up some more Margaret Atwood in my future. This particular storyline does focus on the life of this girl who is a handmaid, who basically still has the ability to have children in a society that has predominantly lost its ability to having children. So there is a lot of kind of ethical struggles or dilemmas about pregnancy and childbirth and those kind of things. So that's your warning. If those things are difficult for you, you may want to look for a more detailed review to see if this is the book for you. Then I also did get through another Thomas Hardy. I did this with the lovely Sandy at Mrs. Reads a Lot, The Return of the Native, another very Hardy, which is very miserable, perfect for the month of May. This particular story is just almost soap opera-esque. The drama ensuing. We have starting with a mysterious man bringing a mysterious kind of unconscious woman. She has this background that we are trying to figure out, and then there is like the start of all these love triangle squares everywhere. It's like, oh, well, this person's interested in this person, but this person's really interested in this person. But as soon as this person knows that this person's interested in them, then it's like, ooh, I don't know that I'm so interested anymore because, you know, this person over here actually doesn't want you. So why do I want you if that person doesn't want you? And it is very, very Thomas Hardy in the sense that there is what I like to call the death and destruction. So like, he doesn't just do things little, he goes big, he goes all in. It's like, bam, it's like the whole world is going to fall apart and that whole plot is just going to explode and people are going to die. It's like, I mean, this is one of his earlier works, and I think that as an introduction to Hardy, this is a really fun ride. It's almost so over the top that I just found myself laughing at other people's misery, okay? And I love the style of Thomas Hardy's writing. When they make fun of classic English authors, like instead of saying, oh, he was just a normal person, he would say, he was a gentleman of average height with non-unique features who just really towed the line of the middle of the road to, you know, like he sparses out into a paragraph like one normal statement and you're like, oh, he was an average man. You know. And so I'm here for it. If that sounds at all interesting, that's a good one to pick up. I also did another buddy read with my friend Michele at Books Cause Insomnia. We are reading through the Dune series. This is the third in a series of 6 by Frank Hebert. This is his story that is set on another planet, Dune, where there is a ecological struggle between the desert and worms, which create a spice resource that is critical to the economy and to the well-being of a lot of the universe even, and the lack of water, trying to bring in water, but water is against the worms and the resource. And so it's really a fascinating little book commentary on that, as well as a lot of the political aspects. You have some kind of drug-induced kind of magical abilities to like see different lives or futures going on. So it's sci-fi, it is politics, it's like a fantasy in some ways, commentary on political stuff on the environment. It's really a fascinating book. It is a little lengthy, but it was good. And I can tell it's going to get even more unique as we continue into that series. And also in series, I did read the 5th book in the Wheel of Time, The Fires of Heaven, Robert Jordan. And, you know, when you're in a series that far, you can't really tell too much about it because then you're spoiling all the previous books. So basically, this is for people that have gone from their hometown on a quest to try to save the entire universe when there is kind of multiple layers of reality and spirit world and gate transportals and powers to channel the powers and rules and regulations of men and women and all these kinds of epic fantasy things. And this one has been my favorite so far. This was epically great, totally, you know, 5-star within the realm. I look forward to picking up the next one as soon as I can get to it. And then just as a bonus mention, I did pick up a children's book. This book is by Bishop Desmond Tutu, and it's God's Dream. And it's like this beautiful little children's book that is basically about our humanness and our connectedness and trying to get back to unity and listening to one another, which is totally my heart. And I just really, really wanted to lift that up, that if you have any place, children, or just space in your life where that would be appropriate, just wanted to give it as a little bonus mention for the day because it's really, really beautiful book. So those are the books I have been reading lately. Have you read any of these? Did you like any of them? This was some good misery. I mean, there was none of them that were below, you know, a solid, positive 3-star kind of read. So I've had an outstanding May, and I look forward to finishing the other 3 books that I have left over the holiday weekend, or maybe a little bit into June. We'll see. But stay tuned for those reviews later on, as well as I am going to be doing a little tour of my library cart and allowing you to help me pick a couple of the books that I will be reading in the month of June. So until then, take care. Happy reading.